Hello, this is Michael Cammack, and I'm going to be going over Milestone 3 of our Capstone project in the Game Systems Integration class. Alright, so for my first user story, I'm going to start with a level, and I made a user story. As the player, I want a level design to show off the mechanics of the bonfire and gates to make the player have to think. So what I did with this is I mapped out how everything was going to go. So I created a different design document. I went with a level theme of a cemetery, and the player goal is the area surrounding these lands is being tormented by an unknown reaper. The souls of the dead aren't able to move on and rest in peace. It's up to the player to make their way through the cemetery to get to the boss room. And what I did for the mechanics is I did a progression style of introduce, practice, and master. And the two main mechanics in this level that we're really looking at is the bonfire, being able to teleport between different ones, and gates that block the player from moving forward. And so I have everything set up in order for where the player should start and how they're going to be introduced to the mechanics. The win condition is getting to the last gate in the level. If the player dies along the way, they'll have to respawn at the bonfire. And for the completion criteria, we have multiple bonfires in the level, a gate that blocks the players from moving forward, a path with enemies to challenge the player on the way, and a gate at the end of the level. So let's jump into the level itself. Alright, so if we go ahead and start the game, we can go ahead and select my level. Okay, so here's the first room where we're introduced to the first bonfire here. And since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and go over the completion criteria and the user story for the bonfires. The user story that I have here is, as the player, I want to be able to interact with bonfires so that I can teleport to certain levels. The completion criteria is the player can interact with the bonfire. Interacting with the bonfire activates the checkpoint. Players can select the bonfire by interacting with one, and interacting with the bonfire resets the player's health. So going in terms of progression, we have the first bonfire here where we get introduced to it. There's a spear here that you cannot pick up because you need 5 souls. Now this is important because in order to get back here, you'll have to teleport to that bonfire because you can't make your way back up. So if we move on to the next area, we'll also be introduced to our second mechanic, which is the gate. Their eyes will be guided this way because there is a soul for them to pick up. And then you won't be able to enter this room, but you can see that there's an elevator over there, so you definitely want to get in there. So more breadcrumbs going this way. You'll see a soul and some enemies up there. So we collect the soul, make our way to the next area. You can go ahead, defeat some enemies. Watch me obliterate this guy. Decimated. Go ahead and collect another soul. So now we got 3 out of the 5 that we need. You can see there's a lift that goes up that way, as well as another soul for the player to pick up. We wait for the lift, and let's see. On our way up, we can see there's a hole there and another collectible. And then this is where the bonfire is. Now if the player dies, they can get reset here. They can also teleport back to the first bonfire, but we only have 4 souls. So in order for the player to get the next one, they have to they can either drop down, sacrifice some health, or they can wait for the lift. We'll just go ahead, sacrifice some health. Now we have 50 health. Yeah, I'll drink a couple of Estus flasks and I'll catch it on the next wave. Yeah, there we go. Okay, now we can teleport back to the first bonfire. We can pick up the spear. And if we press I, we can see that we have the spear in our inventory. Now it's not a fully functional inventory, but you can switch to the spear. You don't have to necessarily pick it up, but you can equip the spear, and now we can teleport back to the second bonfire for a shortcut. Then go through the hole that we saw here, take a bunch of damage. And here in this room we are greeted by another enemy. We'll just go ahead and decimate him again. Now we make our way through, and now we can get into the room that had that gate, where we can interact with this. There's a placeholder text there, but we can interact with it. It'll open the gate. So for future encounters, I do plan on adding more, maybe adding another level on the other side. But you can come back through here, through this gate, without having to go all the way back around. Then we can make our way to the end of the level. And this is the last gate here, and while I'm at it, I should probably bring up the user story for the gates. And the user story that I have for that is, as a gate, I want to act as a shortcut for the players so they can avoid certain parts of the level. For the completion criteria for this, we have gate has a lever that needs to be interacted with in order to open, and on key press, when we press F, it plays the animation for it to go up. And then the second completion criteria is the gate opens when the lever is interacted with. So here's the lever here. We go ahead and press F, and the gate goes up. And then we reach the end of my level. Alright, that's all I worked on for this current milestone. Now I'm going to pass it off to my next teammate.